Form of defence is indeed attack. Let's see who goes on it right now. The climb has begun. Here we go, Sean.
Yes, we've just taken the right-hand turn, and that's where we see Alberto Contador, taking off from and showing us the climb. And, now we're onto this climb here, and we can see, the position is going to be important. The top 10, 15 places, that's where you need to be, because if somebody is struggling, they have a little bit of a gap. Every little gap you have to close, maybe to come up around the ride, that's not what you want in the earlier part, and especially when the pace is real fast here. And Red Bull are pushing on. We can see EF Education, appearing here. We can see Eddie Dunbar there in the middle. He's a rider we talked about, who's in the GC. When we see some of the guys who are a bit further down the GC trying something, it will depend on what the pace is. And if there's an infernal pace here by Red Bull, it's going to be difficult for anybody to get out of this group.
Oh, you just saw them, Red Bull, Danny Martinez, he heard the radio call from Primož Roglic. He got on the radio and said something, and immediate Martinez went to the right and shut down EF Education. We're trying to come to the front and take over. So Red Bull are adamant. They've got the whole team there. They are the ones who want to line things up and keep Primož Roglic at the front and wind the pace up, and don't want to tolerate anybody trying to come next to them. See Martinez there, just the most left rider of the Red Bull riders. He just shut down Harry Sweeney by the looks of things a moment ago. So it's getting a bit rough and ready on the front, even on the climbs.
Love it, absolutely love it. They were busy defending the left-hand side of the road from Decathlon 82 on La Mondiale, not wanting Ben O'Connor to move up. It opened up on the other side. The radio blared, and they basically said, watch out, fellas, the spare room at the other side of the road. That's where EF were coming. And as you quite rightly said, Martinez did a job. Danny just doing a Superman role, just moved over and neutralised that threat. Right now the threat is being posed to everyone by Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. They're going for it. This will be an evil tempo, so who's going to be able to keep up? Well, Eddie Dunbar certainly, as Sean pointed out, is certainly one of those. Landa's in the frame here. I think wants to make a noise after yesterday, and if he can carry his anger and use it to his advantage, then so be it. But meanwhile, a lot of riders being spat out of the back. That was Theo Gegenhardt going backwards. Thought he might have a bit more today, but it'll be about Shelmos for them. Mass here gritting his teeth as he's given to doing, and it is Primož Roglic just on his back wheel, just in almost fuzzy vision. There is a Landa not that far behind, in line with Richard Carapaz being guided at the moment for the men in pink, and the attrition rate goes on, Sean.
Yes, well, this is normal. They're going to be shedding riders quickly here, and as we get on to the more serious, steeper stuff, this group will really whittle down to be a very small leading group. But we can see on the front there, the teams that need to be there. Red Bull, we can see EF Education, we can see Decathlon 82 La Mondiale, very present with Ben O'Connor. We can see Victor Lafay there. We can see Paris Panthers there just around him and try and stay with him as much as possible. And that gives the rider that bit motivation as well. When you see teammates around you, that makes him dig back a bit deeper.
Here we go. Well, who looks steadiest of all? I would say Eddie is certainly one of those. Sepp Kuss looks a bit more lively today as well than he did yesterday. We'll see whether he sustains it. Not that far away from him as well is Steven Kruijswijk, who's still there, but the red jersey, absolutely locked on, laser-like, is still here. Ben O'Connor is going to wrestle anybody who disrespects his right to be here. He's certainly very much in the vanguard, Robbie.
He is, but he has been wrestled away out of that wheel of Primož Roglic. Henrik Mas has slotted himself in front. One of the teammates was Cepeda, who went in front of O'Connor as well. Carapaz just hovering behind O'Connor, but it's almost like they feel this is the hierarchy that is on the climbs, and they've been out climbing O'Connor the last few days, so they've shuffled themselves in front of it at the moment and taken the wheel of Primož Roglic. And Ben O'Connor, he knows that is the wheel that he needs to cling on to. He's also got to be careful about over-pacing himself early, because we've seen him do that. Follow for a bit too long in the wheel, put himself in the red, but then later on he finds his rhythm, starts to peg back time, defends himself well. So if he can ride the right tempo, he'll have a good shake of not losing too much, or indeed even possibly maybe hanging on.
Pack the pace in, why don't you, as the percentages start to kick up. 6.5 kilometres to go. It's now ramping up to 8s and 9s. We'll be in 11s before you know it, and rocking up to 16. And indeed, it's last throw of the dice for some of those who've been helpers. They'll try and regather themselves potentially. But right now, the white jersey's getting involved as well, Sean. It's all kicking off.
Well, it's kicking off, and it's Bora who is just continuing on. We can see Danny Martinez taking it up there, Vlasov in the wheel, and they're starting just to really ramp it up here. And we can see here, a little bit of a downhill or maybe a level off section before we get into the real serious stuff, and that's when we will see who has got it here. Because talking about the riders in the position they're in, there's not much difference between 6th or 8th place here at the moment, the way it's lined out. There's plenty of room, and it's really when it starts to get steeper, that's when you want to be in the wheels of the riders that you feel they're going to attack and, be just stuck to the rear wheel.
Here we go then. It's a selection process, as all of these things are. Godou's reasonably well placed. Perry Pantras trying to stay with it as well. Enric Mas, as you can see, out of the saddle. Carapaz looking threatening. In fact, whenever he starts to look like this, you start to salute. And right now, saying it's an adieu, bidding fond farewell, is Roglic. He's got 2 in front of him, and he's already turning the screw here. This is phenomenal. That's got to be about 5 or 6 bike lengths. Carapaz tried to respond. He's got Mas on his back wheel, almost on a tow rope. That's the group with Ben O'Connor, don't forget. And already, I think the margin is red for Roglic. He's already got about 5 or 6 seconds, Robbie. He's gone.
Yeah, this is a massive acceleration. What a twist to the throttle by Danny Martinez. And I think he's swinging off now. Just got the call from behind. But none of the other GC favourites even tried to go with that acceleration. Wow. They watched it happen. And they must have just... their heart must have sunk to their boots watching him go away like that. They've put everybody in the red zone. They've opened up a big gap, but the question is now, have they gone too hard even for themselves? Because that is a massive gap they've opened, and all the rest
Here we go.
Sit around, look at each other and say, well, who can do anything about it?
Godou's going to give it a go. Yeah, he does. He goes off the front. Martinez folds in, tries to accept that responsibility. I think Felix Gal's just trying to do something as well, just offer up something to Ben O'Connor, tries to, not Gal, I beg your pardon, but Ben O'Connor certainly within there, Sean.
Yes, I
with
think
a
it's Perry Panther, looks like, from Decathlon. But yeah, this is a big one here, and it just tells the pace they were setting there with Danny Martinez, because the rider's not able to follow. Enric Mas just not trying to follow it, just shows the speed here is rapid, and it's just really difficult to just imagine that on the TV, but when you're on the bike there, the way they're going up this climb is causing problems for a lot of the other GC men. And very early in the climb, let's look at 5.2 kilometers to go. This is early days, but Vlasov is really putting in a big ride here, and he has to continue for as long as possible. But then Roglic will just go for home.
Godou certainly within that group, trying to bridge. Perry Pantras looked like he's on marking duties, but doesn't want to distance his own teammate just for the time being. And here we are. There it is, room 101. The torture chamber is David Godou at the moment, but nobody able to bridge just now. It's Perry Pantras who's out of the saddle trying to close it down. Teammate, of course, of Ben O'Connor, our leader. Others as well would come and join the fray if they possibly can, but 26 seconds, that is an absolute fissure that I'm afraid is going to see that, well, it's just a remarkable, almost rock fall for everybody else. And it is Primož Roglic who's rock and rolled straight off the front here, and now he's solo. This is about domination. This is about just showing not only himself, but everybody else in this race what he's got ahead of the big day tomorrow. There's going to be a big presence in red, and it's going to be this man. And here's the moment he just says, thank you very much, mate. I'll take it on from here. Goodness me, Casey Jones steaming and rolling. He has gone for this. Roglic owns the mountain by the look of it, Sean, and a whole lot more than that.
Yes, well, just inside 4 kilometres to go, we see Vlasov is finished here, and Roglic just gets into his rhythm here. He has the gap, 32 seconds, but he has to keep it going all the way over this 4.6 kilometres.
Primož Roglic, when he's in this kind of mood, it's absolutely, well, it's impressive. It's also incredibly threatening to everybody else's ambitions here, Robbie.
It is. We haven't seen him ride this aggressively for a little while now in this Vuelta. Very calculating, very controlled, small gaps, chipping away, chipping away. This is the big one. I mean, the way the team rode from all day long first to bring everything back together and try and make everybody as tired as possible. From when they hit the bottom of the climb, it looked like a sprint lead out they were doing as Carapaz now reacts and goes up the road.
Well, last time he was here, he said he went too early, and Roglic punishes him. Now as he missed the train, Sean, he's trying his best. So's everyone else. Mas picks it up. Perry Panter wants to stay within the frame. They tag Vlasov here and say, see ya. It's a baton exchange almost. Try and stay with this man when he's in this kind of mood. We said the same about Roglic. It's getting very selective down there, Sean, but it looks like crumbs from Roglic's table for everybody.
Yes, well, we did see when Roglic set off with two teammates in front of him at that, super rapid pace. Everybody else looked at each other. We could see Carapaz looking, Mas was looking, and they were all on the limit pretty much. And now it's settled down a bit with Decathlon AG2R setting that pace for Ben O'Connor, and we see they're just going to start attacking each other. And Carapaz is pushing on here, but Gaudu is following, Mas is in the wheel here. We can see Ben O'Connor still in a real good position, and this is where now they're thinking, okay, the man who is the big favourite to win this Vuelta, he's out in front. Think about the places on the podium, and that's what they're doing. They're marking each other here, the guys who are second, third, fourth, fifth place in the GC.
Lipovitz is going to start thinking about his race as well for the race for white. Don't forget that Carlos Rodriguez, who wears that jersey, is very much here. There he is on the barriers. Might be a bit of interchange between them, but we're coming to the toughest part of the climb, Robbie. This is where coping pace is the only pace.
Yep, 12 and 14% gradient, so plenty of springboards to go and launch an attack if you're good enough. But Primož Roglic, he has just cleared away, and it's like Sean said, they watched him go and said, well, there goes the favourite. He's going to ride his way into red, and the others are just starting to mark their own territory. Carapaz trying to offload Enric Mas to leapfrog him on GC. Also see if he can get rid of O'Connor, because Carapaz started the day 1:46 down on the lead of the Australian. But there's all little groups of GC battles going on. It's Mas versus Carapaz, then Gaudu versus Rodriguez and Skelmusa, even Lipovitz as well. The young rider battle going on behind. But up the front, focus, a calm look on the face, but like a duck on water. Looks calm above, but paddling like mad underneath is Primož Roglic.
Well, I'm afraid that duck has taken one of those. I'm afraid if you're Matt Michelanda, he went off the back a few moments ago, and it's going to be a little bit worse for him. And Mas picks up, he goes, and indeed this time has Carapaz got what it takes to go with him. Does not look like he's got the sort of pace. Ben O'Connor's still here as well, though. He's just hovering and hovering just for the time being, but Mas gets a distance. This is where the traction for Richard Carapaz starts to pick up, and he's doggedly determined, almost terrier-like in moments such as this. But Mas himself wants to just make sure that second place belongs to him by the end of today, and we'll see what happens with the rest of the race. And O'Connor looks like he may well have just that dam may well have burst upon him. Oh, this is tough to watch, but they're all going for it, springing off up the road, and O'Connor is still battling. There he is, still within range, wrestles himself back onto Carapaz's wheel, and Mas, it didn't quite work for him, Sean.
No, it didn't work for him, but he still have a little bit of an advantage here. As we can see, there's quite a few bike lengths, and everybody is pretty much on the limit here. And we can see Ben O'Connor having a look around there, but we did see Perry Panter. He was doing an excellent job for Ben O'Connor. When it slowed down a bit, he went to the front, just kept a real strong pace. This is not what Ben like, these accelerations from Mas, from Carapaz, Gaudu. He does not like that sudden acceleration in speed.
Wow, you can see Mas here, you can see Gaudu as well, just on his within range, but Mas seems to be extending it, and these gaps are growing here, Robbie.
Yeah, the gaps are opening right up, and looking at Ben O'Connor, I was just going to say the thing he doesn't need to do is make these jumps, these big accelerations when they go, but stick at his pace and keep riding and ride his way back on, because every time he's been dropped in this Vuelta, it's when he's tried to respond with those big accelerations. Later on, he finds his rhythm, and he sort of stops losing any more time. But he's fallen into the trap of trying to go with Mas and Carapaz, and now he's just got to try and settle back into that rhythm and see if he can ride himself back into the wheel. 15 seconds down on Mas now for Ben O'Connor, starting the day 1:25 ahead of him with 3k to go. They're all creeping up on the Australian. Roglic now, well, he's putting himself firmly in the red jersey.
Absolutely magnificent performance by Roglic and Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. It's not over yet, but it will be in 3 kilometres time, and we wonder what the gap will be by the time we get there. Mas is very accomplished at moments such as this, Sean. Doesn't panic. Occasionally runs out of juice, essentially, but he's got the capability to at least challenge Roglic here and certainly install himself solidly in second place. He's in no man's land, but look at between whom. Brilliant work by Mas here.
Yes, well, when Mas gets into his rhythm here, and when he gets away from the rest of the riders, he just can concentrate out in front and ride pretty close to his maximum. And we can see the advantage to Roglic, 23 seconds. I think it was a little bit more than that when they were just waiting, looking at each other, who was going to ride. And we're inside the final 3 kilometres, 24 seconds. If Mas can really finish strongly and Roglic starts to struggle a little bit in the end, it might not be over yet for the stage, but I think Roglic looks like that. He is just calculating his effort, and Mas is also pulling away here. So the two better climbers we have seen in this race on many occasions, the mountaintop finishes, they're the ones that are proven to be the best here on this climb again.
Just look at how smooth and apparently untroubled this cadence is, Robbie. This is so impressive from this man.
Yeah, it's what we've gotten used to seeing from Primož Roglic, but people start to question, has he got that all the way through this Vuelta, coming in under an injury cloud? The way he'd been riding through it, there were some shows, some signs of brilliance, but over short distances, he hadn't gone on the big attack. He hadn't given them the really big knockout blow. Well, today it looks like he's on that, but Mas is putting up a brilliant fight from behind and just eating in very slowly to the gap of Primož Roglic. 20, now it's starting to go the other way. He got it down to 20-22, going out the other direction now. And Ben O'Connor, he has just got to hurt himself as much as he can stand for the next 2.5 kilometres.
Mas, well, don't discount him, because tomorrow there's a whole sequence of climbs, some of which, of course, will suit Enric Mas down to the ground. Problem for Mas and everybody else is that Primož Roglic seems to have found his very best form at absolutely the right time, Sean.
Well, yeah, it's in a question of was he just waiting, and we did see him a number of days in the last mountaintop finishes. Lagos to Covadonga, he was following the attacks and not really pushing on the pace at all on the steep gradients. And we see he's just, producing a brilliant ride here today. This man also is doing a really good performance, and behind they're all just battling to limit the losses. And we can see for the young jersey classification, Carlos Rodriguez is in that group with Carapaz. Lipovic we cannot see, so he's going to lose time there. Although the man is in the white jersey, he's from Ineos Grenadiers, he's going to take more advantage. But this man, look at the rhythm he's got here, and he is really eating into this climb. 27 seconds at the moment. This man Mas, he not going to be a day where he's going to get back to terms with Primož Roglic and try and go for stage win.
It's a squeeze box scenario, isn't it? Every time he starts to play the tune and presses on, and then all of a sudden it's expanded again by Primož Roglic. 27 down to 24, out to 25, down to 22. It's a real battle head-to-head between Roglic and Mas, even though indeed at the moment there's 27 seconds between them. They are still fighting each other, but also casting their minds further back down as to the rack of talent we've got back here that's still rocking, as you can see, out of the saddle. It does maybe not look that pretty for some. Eddie Dunbar here on the back wheel of Ben O'Connor, and this man stays beseated and just drives it home, finally out of the saddle as he comes down one of the steeper curves here inside the final 2 kilometres, and Primož Roglic absolutely supreme. It's a question of margin by the end of the day, Robbie, for this man.
Yeah, we saw the virtual general classification a moment ago, and with now Ben O'Connor being signalled at 59 seconds, about to be 1 minute. Then Primož Roglic is 55 seconds into the red jersey. Mas putting up a great fight, but he got as close as he did at 20 seconds, and then he started to drift the other way. Ben O'Connor rode his way back up to the group led by Richard Carapaz, along with Gaudu, Carlos Rodriguez. Eddie Dunbar had just ridden onto the back wheel of O'Connor there as well. Scalamo also in that group, but out the front, absolutely no doubt, Primož Roglic head and shoulders above when it comes to climbs like this in this field, and he's going to ride himself into the lead of this Vuelta.
Just look at Ben O'Connor. The leader's jersey may well be transferring, and Landers back in here as well. He set his own tempo, used to doing that. Yesterday, I think shoulders dropped just a little bit while he was upset with his team, but that's a great performance by Lander as well. He's back in here.
Well, that tells the pace is not rocket high, and we can see Carapaz is just, grinding away there on the front of that group, and he can see, Mas going away from him. He knows that he's losing that battle, because it was a battle between the two guys, and he has Godou there, which he has been marking as well. So it's all about the places on the podium. But for Carapaz, with Ben O'Connor still in there, he was really looking at the podium places, but that situation now, Mas is going to move up a bit, but Ben O'Connor, he has to dig deep here in this final 1500 metres.
Here's Mas, 35 seconds. It bounced out to 37, but now it's 35, back up to 36. Even as this goes, it's like a tug of war, but the driest hands belong to Primož Roglič. Just a slightly slippy grip, I think you might say, from Enric Mas here, but all credit to him. He's going to secure second place, at least for now. Big climbing day tomorrow as well. Carapaz tries to go again and indeed try and limit the damage, and all that's doing, I'm afraid, collateral-wise, it's Ben O'Connor's just on the slide here, and Robbie, that's not a good look.
No, he's reached his limit again, gone into the red. He got back to that group with Carapaz, but now another acceleration, and Ben O'Connor really struggling, unable to hold the wheel now as he approaches the final kilometre. Another minute 10 behind where Primož Roglič is. He goes under a kilometre to go, but O'Connor is losing his grip, possibly on a podium place.
I hope not. He's battled so valiantly today. The team did a perfect job of just marshalling him to where he needed to be. Then he was called on to indeed go as deep as he possibly could, and did it. Flamme Rouge for Primož Roglič. He's bringing it home, Sean, and he's going to be in red tonight.
Yes, he is going to be in red. We can see that 37 seconds. He's just climbed at a super fast pace, and he just had that perfect launch pad from the team. But he did take off early, just inside the 5 kilometres. He hit off when Vlasov just was finished, and he's just ridden at this really solid pace. And in the meantime, the gap is growing out. Mas at 38. We can see there the red jersey 118. It's going to be an interesting one now for the second and third places on the podium, because Ben O'Connor, he has to dig deep to try and hold on to a podium place, but Mas is in between here. We're expecting all of this. The fight for the podium is on, and it's definitely on at the moment.
Well, Godou's flown. He'd like a few more little seconds advancement as well, and who knows? And it's starting to shred, is it not? This man, well, he's been a hero to many of us throughout this entire race. 13th day in red. Maybe that was ominous in itself, but Ben O'Connor has been a real valiant hero as far as this race is concerned. But Primož Roglič is going to bring this home. 500 metres, it evens up just a little bit for this man. It's almost as if he has flattened this mountain in a personal sense, and indeed all of the doubts as well as to whether he would go into red. Well, metaphorically speaking, everyone did behind him as he just flew off, set at a pace that was to his liking and to the discomfort of everybody around him. Primož Roglič is an amazing athlete. He has been at the top of his game in other sports as well, let's not forget, but it's here, and particularly in Spain. 3 times a winner. Are we watching the coronation of King Roglič the Fourth? Let us wait and see. He's going to bring this one in at least today. He's got a huge day tomorrow, and then of course time trialling as well, and time will tell. And for the time being, he's been in a time machine, and he's just in another place entirely. That was amazing. Oh, and we look back and the clock starts, Robbie.
The clock is ticking on Enric Mas, first man to come up behind Roglič, and Godou now with a big effort at the end is going to reach Mas. So Mas looks like he put himself a little bit too deep in the red and just couldn't hold the effort. Godou overtakes him and will take second on the stage.
Shelmos is also rocking and rolling here, and Godou does go through. That's an amazing performance by him. Shelmos just comes up around the outside here, and Mas cedes another spot at the moment, sees bonus seconds disappear in front of him. Godou's going to get 6 here, 4 going to Shelmos, and there is Mas, no bonus seconds.